Hi everyone, my name's Kate Kalthoff and welcome to a Stamping to Share video. Today I'm going to share with you a Father's Day card. It is that time of year where we have to be thinking about masculine cards. I always think of June as a masculine month. It's my dad's birthday in June and it's also Father's Day. So I'm usually scrambling to come up with some cards at the last minute. So today's no different. So here we go. Here's the world's greatest dad. And then on the inside it says Happy Father's Day, or you could put Happy Birthday or leave it blank, whatever you want to do. And you can also customize this with brother, uncle. There's lots of different options because we're using the stamp set that's called Guy Greetings. There's so many different options. There's grandpa, brother, husband. I love it. Lots of different things that we can do. And this is the photopolymer set from Stampin' Up. So you actually see right through the stamps to know exactly where you're stamping. That comes in pretty handy sometimes. So let's go ahead and get started and I'll show you how to create this card from start to finish. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make our card base. I have Night of Navy cardstock. I've cut it at 5.5 by 8.5 and scored it at 4 1/4. Then I'm going to take my bone folder. We're going to just fold along this score line towards the mountain. I'm going to use the bone folder just to give it a little crease so it will lie flat for us. The next panel will be our inside panel. I'm using crumb cake. This is 4 by 5 1/4, and we are just going to do some quick little stamping here and get this inside panel out of the way. So I have some crumb cake ink, and I've got the stamp set called Gorgeous Grunge. It's one of my very favorite go-to stamp sets. When you need just a little something extra, there's these dots. I love these stripy thing, and I'm using it on this card. It makes great floors or countertops for coffee cups. And then of course there's some super awesome splashes in here, and then these diagonal lines. So there's a lot to use in that stamp set. So we're going to take the dots, and I'm inking it up with crumb cake, and we're just going to throw some dots here along the bottom and then just right here along the top. And then we're going to ink up Happy Father's Day with Tip Top Taupe, and that's just going to get stamped right here. And that part of our card is done. So now we can go ahead and set that into our card. I'm going to use a little bit of multi-purpose liquid glue just along the top edge, and that can go right on the inside of our card. I'm just going to center it in, and then we can go ahead and work on the outside panel. The outside panel is made with a little bit different color of paper. This is 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm using craft paper. It's a 12 by 12 paper that Stampin' Up sells, and I just cut it into this size for the front of my card. And I'm going to use the natural chevron ribbon, and I'm just going to do a ribbon wrap right here at the top, leaving about a 1/2 inch gap right here at the top. So for me, I find it easiest if I just use a little bit of Scotch tape to secure that ribbon down. So that's what I'm doing. Here's the Scotch tape on this side. Make that nice and secure. And then I'm going to be doing a little bit of stamping. So the first thing that we're going to stamp along the bottom is the floor. I'm using Tip Top Taupe, and I'm just going to stamp right here along this bottom edge with Tip Top Taupe. And a little bit more over here. There we go. Just want this floor to extend along the bottom of this card. Then the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp the banner piece that falls right here. So I'm going to set this aside, and I'm going to grab just a piece of scrap. This is a piece of scrap in crumb cake, and I think I'll use my stamp mat. I usually get a better image if I'm using my stamp mat with photopolymer. So I'm going to ink up World's Greatest with Night of Navy ink. We're just going to stamp this right up here towards the very top of that scrap paper. Then I have the word Dad, and I'm inking that up in Tip Top Taupe, and that is going right in the middle, just like this. And then we're going to take a banner framelit and go to the Big Shot machine. So the banner that I'm using is going to be the second largest banner. So if you're counting from the inside to the outside, it will be banner number 5. And I have that set up on my Big Shot machine. And the way I set it up is I use my magnetic platform, then I put my cutting plate, then I put my scrap paper with my images stamped, and then I just put my banner, right, as you can see, right where I wanted it, and then I rolled it through the Big Shot machine. Now I've already rolled it through, so I can just take away this scrap here, and then here is my banner. So now we want to put our banner on, but first we are going to distress it just a little bit. So I have a sponge, a Stampin' sponge from Stampin' Up, and actually the sponge is quite large, but I cut it into 6 pieces. It goes a little further that way, and it makes it easier to work with at the same time. And I'm just sponging the edges of this banner, just to give it a little bit of depth. There we go. Now we can go ahead and put some dimensionals on it. All right, now that the dimensionals are on, we can go ahead and put this right onto the front of our card. And it's going to go right here. So we can press that down, and then we can go ahead and stamp our little gentleman here. So let me get him inked up. He is going to be inked up in Night of Navy, and we're just going to center him in underneath the banner. So his feet will be on the floor, and his head is just underneath that banner. Then we need some sprinkles of some of these dots, I think. So let's go ahead and do that. And I probably should have done that before I put the banner down, but we'll see if we can sneak some sprinkles in. Now I'm going to sprinkle these dots with crumb cake. Oh, this will work out just perfect. So we're just going to set these dots in like this. There we go. Dots are in and looking good. And then I think some dots up here would be in order too. So when you do forget, you can just tear some scrap paper. And I don't actually want the dots on my ribbon, so I can just go ahead and put this scrap paper in here. And then we'll just throw some dots up here in this section of the banner. And now we have our panel done. Doesn't that look nice? So let's go ahead and put some dimensionals on this. And I think 4 dimensionals will do the job. We want to just have a little breathing room for this panel before we set it down. And now we can go ahead and put that on the front of our card. And look at that, our card is complete. Doesn't it look nice? So let's bring the original back into the picture. Here's the original, here's the card I just did, and you know what? I see I'm missing some candy dots. So let me grab my candy dots and we'll fix that up real quick. I keep my candy dots in a container. Here they are. I keep them in just a stamp container. This is a clear mount stamp container, and I just label it with my label machine. And then I can just stand it right up in my bookcase. And so these are all of my extra dimensionals that are in Regals. And so I like to put them on with a paper piercing tool. I just grab my paper piercer, I push it underneath a navy Regal candy dot and put this right here up in the corner. Then I'll do the same to the second dot, put that right up in that corner, and then our card is complete, and I think it looks marvelous. So there you go. Hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you do need a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, please visit my blog. I've got links there for where you can place orders. I truly appreciate you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.